Hey guys, thanks for watching our videos. Now you can support us on Patreon and get some cool Danish rewards by clicking the link in the description. See you there!
Hi guys, and welcome to this nice video called Common Danish Mistakes. I made this video because now I've been teaching for about 3 years and I see a lot of the same mistakes being made over and over again, both by my students and by other people who learn Danish. So I want to fix this for you. I want to fix this once and for all. We are going to look at this issue very seriously. Okay, here we go. The first one is ved and kender. Of course, this is not a mistake, but these two are easily confused because they both mean know, as in to know in English. I understand the confusion, but there's really a big difference between them. Ved is basically the information that you have, the knowledge, whatever you remember or have retained in your mind. Okay, so that is ved. I could say, jeg ved noget om dig. Jeg ved noget om dig. I know something about you. Right? Because that is something I know. Or you could say, jeg ved hvor du bor. Jeg ved hvor du bor. I know where you live. Because that is information. Right? That is knowledge. So it seems pretty simple. What about kender? So kender is more like when you are familiar with something. Like, jeg kender ikke din bror. Jeg kender ikke din bror. I don't know your brother. Because here, we're not talking about information or knowledge. We're talking about being acquainted with or familiar with. Right? It's not knowledge about the brother. It's about whether you know him or not. Whether you met before or whether you heard about him. Could also be about songs or stories or legends or hearsay or anything. But it's more about being acquainted rather than knowing it. I could say, kender du den sang? Kender du den sang? Do you know that song? As in, have you heard it before or have you heard about it? So I think this should make sense. The next one is Tror and Synes. And yes, I've covered this before in a video, but it doesn't hurt to repeat it. Tror and Synes, they can both be translated as to think in English. However, there's a pretty big difference. Tror is typically what you guess, what you think, what you estimate, or what you surmise. This is your guess about reality, about a given situation, past or present or future, what the case is, what the matter is, what the reality is. Okay, kind of spelling it out here. For example, jeg tror han er død nu. Jeg tror han er død nu. I think he's dead now. I know, sad example, but it works because I'm guessing about what the case might be. Right? What is the situation? Or the situation is dead? Okay, fair enough. Or tror du han er rig? Tror du han er rig? Do you think that he is rich? Like, do you think it could be that he is rich? Right? Because this is just your guess about reality. So basically that is tror. Now, of course, we also have a tro på. That is a little bit different. That is to believe in, but I'm not going to cover that for now. Okay, so what about synes? Synes is basically your opinion or your personal belief. It is more subjective. Like, jeg synes, det er en god film. Jeg synes, det er en god film. I think it's a good movie. Because this can never be objective, right? Unless you're really cool, of course. This can't really be objective. This is just your opinion, your feeling. Or I could say, han synes du er for langsom. Han synes du er for langsom. He thinks you are too slow. Again, it's just his opinion. It's just his feeling. It's not a fact. Even if you want to say it's a fact, it's not. Now, of course, there are some overlaps between Tror and Synes, but they're relatively rare, and yes, you will meet them at some point. But for now, this is how to keep them separated. Okay? Tror and Synes. The next one, I also see this mistake a lot. Laver and gør. Laver and gør. Oh my god, I've seen this so many times. And it's a hard one, I admit it. Basically, they both translate to do in English, right? Or to make, for one of them at least. So, laver is sometimes more to make something. Like, jeg laver mad. Jeg laver mad. I'm making food or I'm cooking. Du laver lektier. Du laver lektier means, of course, you're doing homework. Right? So it's making something. However, we also use it just for doing. Like, if you get a text from your friend saying, Hey, what's up? What you doing? What's going on? That kind of stuff. In Danish, that would be hvad laver du? Hvad laver du? What are you doing? Or maybe you're doing small talk, you're at a cocktail party or whatever, and someone's like, hvad laver du? It's like, what do you do for a living? Because within the context, it's clearly understood. So here's the thing. Laver is typically the things that we just take part in general, like general activities. Jeg lavede ikke noget i går. I wasn't doing anything yesterday. It wasn't like a specific action. It's more like what you do in general. Hun laver aldrig noget. Hun laver aldrig noget. She never does anything. That's kind of how it is. There is not so much intent or action behind it. And if this doesn't make sense to you, I hope it will after I've explained gør. Okay, so gør is also do, but as you probably guessed, there is more intent behind this. Like I could say, hvad vil du gøre? Hvad vil du gøre? What will you do, or what are you gonna do? Because here there's almost a choice, there's intent, there's a purpose. If I'm saying, hvad gør du? That doesn't sound like, hey, what's up? That sounds more like, what are you gonna do, or what do you do about this thing in general? Doesn't mean that it's super serious, but there's a little more intent behind it. Okay? We could also say, jeg har allerede gjort det. Jeg har allerede gjort det. I've already done it. Whether that's apologizing to someone or doing the dishes or broken a record or something, you've already done it. You did the specific action. Okay, so that's the rule. However, there's one thing I should mention about gør. Because if you in English say, I make you happy, that would be, jeg gør dig glad. Jeg gør dig glad. If someone changes the mood or state or characteristics of something, I made him sad, I made her rich, etc., etc. We change something about them. Then we use gør. Jeg gør dig rig. Jeg gør dig rig. I'm making you rich. And if this is going too fast, you can always pause the video or go back or whatever you prefer, okay? There's something called a playlist. So this should be fairly easy to understand, at least with some repetition. So yes, that is laver and gør, where laver is not so passive necessarily, but there's not so much intent. It's kind of like, just activities in general, where gør has more intent and motivation and purpose behind it. Great. What about the next one? The next one is når, hvornår, and da. And this is a very interesting one, especially if you're a language teacher, because they all three mean when. Oh no, right? So, når is when, as in two things that happen at the same time or correlated. Meaning, jeg ser fjernsyn, når jeg er ked af det. Jeg ser fjernsyn, når jeg er ked af det. I watch TV when I am sad. Because those two things happen at the same time. It could also be, når hun smiler, bliver jeg glad. Når hun smiler, bliver jeg glad. When she smiles, I get or become happy. Two things that happen at the same time. Sometimes there's a causation, meaning one thing is making the other thing happen, or they're just there by coincidence. They're not really connected, but they're just there at the same time. Okay, so what about hvornår? Hvornår is basically a question, and I think you know this already because of hvorfor and hvordan or all that, all the question words, and you should know those by now. So, hvornår is the question, like, hvornår står solen op? Hvornår står solen op? When does the sun rise, or when is the sun getting up, right? Clearly that's a question. Or, hvornår kommer din mor? Hvornår kommer din mor? When is your mom coming, as in she's visiting? So that's fairly easy. However, we also use hvornår in kind of embedded questions, like I could say, jeg ved ikke, hvornår det sker. Jeg ved ikke, hvornår det sker. I don't know when it happens or when it's going to happen. Because there, I'm not asking, but I'm not saying when something happens, another thing happens. There is no correlation really. Rather, I'm talking about the when. Jeg ved ikke, hvornår. I don't know when. It's kind of like when you talk about the when, then it's hvornår. I know that's a little bit complicated, but don't worry. With time and practice, you will get it. It's very commonly used with awareness or knowledge. Ingen er sikker på, hvornår han kom. Ingen er sikker på, hvornår han kom. No one is sure when he came. Okay? And that's how we use it. Then the last one, da. Oh yeah, so that is pretty easy. That is basically what we use in the past tense. Right? Like, da jeg var barn, when I was a kid. Da jeg var barn, da jeg var ung, when I was young. Da du var chef, when you were the boss, etc., etc. This is for things in the past. Da hun var ung, spiste hun meget sushi. Da hun var ung, spiste hun meget sushi. When she was young, she ate a lot of sushi. So this is, again, fairly easy, as most of this is, if you really pay attention. However, I should add one thing. Going back to nå, we can also sometimes use nå in the past if it's something that was continuously happening or repeatedly happening in the past. Jeg spiste altid slik, når jeg kom hjem fra skole. Jeg spiste altid slik, når jeg kom hjem fra skole. I always ate candy when I came home from school. Or in English you would say, I would always eat candy when I came home from school. Right? So that's also a very useful constellation. But the main thing is that you remember, når is for statements about general things that are correlated or just happen at the same time. Hvornår is for questions and kind of embedded questions, and da is for the past, okay? As long as you remember that, you're pretty good. Okay, the next one is kun and bare. And this is another classic. This is very important, and I see a lot of mistakes made with this one. So basically, you can translate them both to just in English. However, I would argue based on experience that kun is more like only or merely, right? And bare is just. Of course, they overlap, but I'll get to that later. So, let's say kun is only. It could be, hun kun 3 år gammel. Hun kun 3 år gammel. She's only 3 years old. Right? That's a very good example. Or, jeg arbejder kun om natten. Jeg arbejder kun om natten. I only work at night. Or, kun gæsterne ved det. Kun gæsterne ved det. Only the guests know, right? Some information that they have. As you can see here, we use kun when it's kind of limited or scarce, or it's not so much. Maybe it's not so much compared to something else or someone else. Right? Could be about numbers or something that is limited to a person or group or specific time of day. That is often how we use kun. So what about bare? Bare is more like when something is just. Right? Like it's nothing special, it's not a big deal, or it's casual. Some examples. Det er ikke vodka, det er bare vand. Det er ikke vodka, det er bare vand. It's not vodka, it's just water. Right? Maybe your friend is super excited about it and you think it's vodka, but you're like, no, calm down, it's just water. Right? It's nothing special, it's nothing out of the ordinary, it's just water. Or, det er bare sølv. Right? Det er bare sølv, it's just silver. Maybe he thought it was platinum or gold, but it's just silver. Anything that's not a big deal. Or when we are being casual and inviting people, kind of being chill and hygge, as we like to do in Denmark. Du kommer bare. Du kommer bare. Yeah, sure, just come in or come by or drop by or whatever. Casual invitation. Or bare spis løs. Bare spis løs. Just go ahead and eat. Eat all you want kind of thing. Bare is used a lot. Of course, there are overlaps. But I would say that if you're in doubt, it's better to use bare than kun. Because I could say, hun kun 3 år gammel. Remember, she's only 3 years old. Or I could say, hun bare 3 år gammel. They're both okay. I prefer kun, but bare is still acceptable. It's better to use bare too much than using kun too much. Because if you walk around and say kun all the time, trying to be casual and stuff, that is not going to fly very well. People will look at you a bit strangely. So, alright. The next one is mand and man. Pronunciation-wise, it's very hard to tell these two apart, but let's just focus on the spelling at least, okay? So the first one, as you see, is with a D, okay? Man, that is man, male, hombre, okay? However you want to translate that. And the next one is man, meaning you or one, as in people in general. Some examples. En god mand, en god mand, a good man, okay? Eller en travl mand, a busy man. Because this is a man, this is a male, it's pretty clear, I don't have to explain this. The confusion comes in with man, which is without the D, and I especially see this in written assignments, in homework. I see this mistake a lot. Maybe it's just laziness, but really, it's better to avoid it. It's not so good if you're at an exam and you make this mistake. So, some examples with man could be, man ved det ikke endnu. Man ved det ikke endnu. One doesn't know it yet, as in people don't know it yet. We don't know it yet. You don't know it yet. Right? We're talking about people in general. And the reason why this is so important is because if you say man with the D, and if you write that, it sounds like it's only limited to men. And worse than that, it's actually limited to only one man. It's not even men, because that would be plural. It's just man, and it's lacking the en. So I'm not trying to be too hard on you here, but it's kind of a big deal that you get this one right. Okay, so let's do one more of these pairs. There's actually 3 here. Der, som, hvilket. And hvilket is not as important, but here we have der and some. Now, der and some, they can both be translated as that or who in English. The cool thing is that in Danish, we don't care if it's animate or inanimate, like if it's living or dead things or whatever. You say the person who, but the thing that. We don't have that rule, so that's very nice. However, we have something else. So, you can always use some. Like, you can say, manden som spiser slik glad. Manden som spiser slik glad. You can also say, manden der spiser slik glad. Manden der spiser slik. Seems kind of weird, right? But what about this example? Det slik, som manden spiser, smager godt. Det slik, som manden spiser, smager godt. The candy that the man eats or is eating tastes good. It's tasty. In the second one, it's passive. We are talking about the candy. The candy is not doing anything. Yeah, sure, you can say that it tastes good, but it's the man eating, so he's the subject. He's the one doing the action, first of all. If I said, det slik, der manden spiser, complete nonsense, don't ever say that. Okay? If it's passive, you can only say some. If it's active, you can say some and der. Okay? So, manden der spiser, that's fine, because he's eating. He's actively doing something. Manden som spiser, also fine, but det slik, der manden spiser, big no-no. Okay? Very important. So basically, that's the difference between der and some. And again, if you're in doubt, use some, because some is always right. However, it can be a bit annoying if you use it too much, because some can also mean as. Lige så stor som, as big as. So if you have too many of those in a sentence, it's a little annoying. But for beginners, you can do it. Alright, then we have hvilket. And I don't personally think that hvilket belongs here, but I know for some people who learned English first, this might seem like the place. Because hvilket means which. Like, han rig, hvilket jeg glad for. Han rig, hvilket jeg glad for. He is rich, which I am happy about. It's kind of like, he is rich and that I am happy about. We kind of add something. We could make the sentence longer. Han rig, hvilket jeg glad for, men min fætter ikke glad for det. Say it again. Han rig, hvilket jeg glad for, men min fætter ikke glad for det. He is rich, which I am happy about, but my cousin, male cousin, is not happy about it. So it's kind of like an addition. We don't say it like, I know that in English you can say, the man which who saw me, that which, all this kind of shit. You can't say that in Danish. Okay, we don't mix it that way. Now at a higher level, there are some more words you can use. Them and hvad, they kind of come in if you know how to use them, but that's a lot more advanced. So if you're a beginner, just stay away from that.